Solve for 0 less than theta less than 360 degrees, giving your answers to one decimal place where appropriate. A, 2 sine theta equals 3 cos theta. B, 2 minus cos theta equals 2 sine squared theta. So for part A, 2 sine theta equals 3 cos theta. The best thing to do is to divide both sides by cos theta. 2 sine theta over cos theta equals 3 cos theta over cos theta. And that will become 2 tan theta equals 3. And then we need to divide both sides by 2. So now we know tan theta equals 3 over 2. So we need to find the value of theta. So if we divide both sides by theta, theta equals 1 over tan 3 over 2. And therefore, in indices, 1 over tan is tan to power minus 1, 3 over 2. And that's what theta is. So if we get the calculator, we're working in degrees, so we'll make sure the calculator is not in radians. Look at the top of the screen on the calculator. If it says R, it's in radians. Make sure you convert it to degrees by going to Shift, then you press Menu, Option 2 for angle unit, then Option 1 for degrees. Then look on the top of the screen again, you will see D, that means it's in degrees. Now we need to find theta, and that will be equal to, so you press Shift tan, that will give you the inverse tan, and then you press the fraction key, which is below the option button, and 3, bring the arrow down and put 2, move the arrow to the right, and then you close the bracket, and that gives you 56.3 degrees. So that's theta. Now to find the rest of theta, 56.3 degrees, it might be best to use the cast diagram. So this is cast. This is 53.6 degrees here. So if I draw that, so from that to there is 56.3 degrees. But tan is also positive in the third quadrant. This is the first quadrant, that's the second, and this is the third, and that's the fourth quadrant. Now, because tan is also positive, bear in mind the opposite angle, vertical opposite angle are equal. So that means this angle here is also 56.3 degrees. So this angle is 56.3 degrees. But the way we measure angle, we measure from 0, so that's 0 degrees, that's 90 degrees, 180 degrees. So we measure from 0 to there, that's the first angle we're looking for. The second angle starts from 0 all the way to there. So that's the second angle, which means we're adding 180 to 56.3 degrees. So the second value of theta is going to be, so theta will be 56.3 degrees, and the second one will be 56.3 degrees plus 180 degrees, and that will equal to 36.3 degrees. So those are the two values that covers from 0 to 360 degrees, because when we go back here, it will be 360 degrees, and that's the boundary condition that we want between 0 and 360 degrees. So the answer to the questions are theta equals 56.3 degrees and 236.3 degrees, and that's the required value of the angle theta. Question B, we need to find the solution of theta. Whenever it says solve, that means make theta the subject, or make x the subject if it's x. So in this case, we need to find the value for theta. Again, in the boundary condition between 0 and 360 degrees, 2 minus cos of theta equals 2 sine squared theta. Just to remind you, the fundamental identity we know is cos squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1. But so what I'm going to do is replace the sine squared theta, so I can make everything cos. Replace this with that. So I'm going to make sine squared theta the subject here. Sine squared theta equals 1 minus cos squared theta. So now I'm going to write 2 minus cos theta equals 2 into bracket 1 minus cos squared theta. So when I open the bracket, I get 2 minus cos theta equals 2 minus 2 cos squared theta. So we can see there is 2 on both sides, so they will cancel out because there's equal sign in between them, so 2 cancels 2. So I'll get 2 cos squared theta, and I'll move that to the left, minus cos theta equal to 0. There's a common factor here between these two. I'm going to take out cos theta, so cos theta, open bracket, 2 cos theta minus 1 equal to 0. So cos theta is a common factor from there, and then they both have cos theta. So I've taken cos theta out. So what that meant is I now have, I'm going to set that to 0, and I'm going to set this also in the bracket to 0. So we get cos theta equal to 0. So we know the values for that, because if we sketch cos theta, so let's just sketch cos theta. So that's sketching cos from 0 to 360. So right, cos starts from 1, the amplitude, and it goes to 0 there. Then go down to minus 1, and then goes to 0. And then goes from there to 360. So that's cos. So this is 0, 90. Here is 180. And this is 270. And here is 360. So that's cosine function graph. And this is the y-axis, and that's the x-axis. So what I meant is, where is cos theta 0? Well, cos theta is 0 at 90, 270 before it gets to 360. So the answer to what we've got here is, when cos theta equal to 0, theta will be what we say cos inverse 0, and that gives us what value? Gives us 90 degrees and what else? 270 degrees. So those are the answer for that, when theta is 0. What about when we need to set the other one to 0? So now we're setting 2. So we've done the first part here, so I'm just going to write. So we're setting 2 cos theta minus 1 equal to 0. That's the second part here. And there we basically do cos theta, 2 cos theta equals 1. So we add 1 to both sides. Cos theta equals 1 over 2. So divide both sides by 2. Theta will be cos inverse a half. Again, when we sketch the cosine graph, cosine is a half. So this is a half here. That's when cos is, because this is 1 and here is minus 1 and that's plus 1. So this is 0.5. So if you extend that line, right, so that's where a half will be. So theta will be 60 degrees. So that'll be 60 degrees here. And here will be, so that'll be 60 degrees less. 360, so that'll be 300 degrees. And you could also use the cast diagram to find that angle. So this is cast diagram here, spelled as cast, where C stands for cosine, A stands for all, and S stands for sine, T stands for tan. We're looking at cosine. In the cast diagram, our cosine is a half, which means cosine is the x-axis. So the x-axis here is a half. So that's up to there. That's cosine. That's cos theta. And that point here is a half. And if you, so that angle that gives a half in a unit circle will be like that. So because if you trace it out like that, remember the y-axis here is the sine. So therefore sine theta. And we want positive a half. Negative a half is to the left of 0. So that's negative cosine. So that's still cos theta, but it's negative. We want the positive value because we got positive a half. What gives a half is both in the first quadrant. As you can see, this is the first quadrant, and that's second, third, and that's the fourth. So it's in both the first and the fourth quadrant. So which is that? That's what it is. And so that angle from 0 degrees, because we measure from 0 degrees to 360, positive anti-clockwise direction, that's 60 degrees. And again from there all the way to there, it's going to be not 60, but 360 minus 60. So that would be 300 degrees. For all the answers, theta would be 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 270 degrees, and 300 degrees. So that's the answer we are looking for.